I never checked the rectal explosive. Is that the one you're talking about? Or?
I've forgotten about that one, man. See, these are just the stories I show you, Tom. There's plenty more that come up. I'm like, nah, we won't go there at all. Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. It is, Tom, a new year, and it is a new us. New year, new us. It doesn't roll off the tongue like the new year, new me, but people should stop saying new year, new me anyway. Tom, happy new year, Tom.
Yep, it's a new year, and I I was reading the comics yesterday, and I forget who got in their first nap of the year, and I'm still waiting. So,
oh no,
I haven't got my first nap of the year in, which is amazing because I'm like the story that's coming up. I do it almost every day.
I got my nap in yesterday, bro. It was going to be a long eating for us. We had a party at the house and had to get things ready. And then knew there would be cleanup and everything else. So I said, nope, I'm going to get my nap. That was, of course, after I watched the Eagles disappoint me, but that's another story. We will leave that there.
Well,
I just hope
you didn't have much of a nap then.
No, just a little bit, just enough. I don't need a whole lot, Tom, just enough to recharge. So what I do hope, Tom, is that you will help the rest of us. I did nothing to bring in the new year in any traditional way. I didn't eat anything special. I didn't drink anything special. So if there's any bad luck, you can blame me. But I'm hoping you pull through and can balance out, balance the force in the universe, and things might be okay.
Yeah, well, our New Year's tradition is to drug the dog.
It was loud.
So we did do our New Year's tradition. So
I guess that works, huh?
Oh yeah. It works until they wear off, and you just kind of hope that the fireworks are over before the drugs are. So
my New Year's Eve was watching Ohio State miss a field goal.
Oh, I missed that. Well, I couldn't watch it because we don't get ESPN.
Well,
which is a rant on my part if we ever need a
give Tom his ESPN. Actually, you know what happened? This shows you how much I pay attention, I guess. I didn't realize, as I was watching the game, I didn't realize I changed the channel. And so I'm watching the game, and I've noticed they've gone like 30 seconds, and I haven't heard any commentary. I haven't heard any of the guys say anything about this. And then I noticed, wait a minute, they don't ever do that camera angle. Like, what in the world? And then all I can hear are you can hear the stadium noise. You can actually hear the crowd, and you can hear the announcer. I'm thinking, wait a minute, something's wrong. Somebody messed up something, New Year's Eve. Well, I didn't know, like ESPN, at least for some of the games, like that's a different channel. You can watch the more traditional, and you can hear the commentators, and you can have those angles that you're used to and all the stats and everything. Or you can watch the other channel, and like I said, they're doing all the aerial views, and they were getting up close, and all you could hear was the fans screaming, and you could hear the announcer. I kind of liked it, but initially I was worried. I thought somebody's getting fired. Somebody messed up. I was worried about some guy's family not having a good New Year's because, he messed up on the job, but somehow I found out. I changed the channel, and I don't usually listen to commentary anyway too much. Do you, Tom?
Well, actually, I like when you don't have it, you kind of notice it that, I actually do like what they're saying. Well, not necessarily like what they're saying. I like having them saying something because
something.
Yeah. And for me, I like I said, we don't get the ESPN, but you can go on to YouTube, and there's always the guy in his mother's basement that is giving you what's going on, and they have a little graph that shows you where not a graph, but they have the football field and then where the ball is, and So I was checking the score, and it's like 39 seconds left, and Ohio State's behind, but they got the ball on their own 42, and I go, even if it's the guy in his mother's basement, I want to hear what's going on. So I went to YouTube and listened, and it was like listening to radio at the same time with TV commentary going on. It's like he's watching the TV, he's got it on, and they're still having his commentary over, and the two guys who were doing the radio thing sounded really good. They did, but it was a little bit annoying because as he's talking, you're also hearing him in the background, and there's probably a good 10 seconds difference. The radio is way ahead of the television production. So,
well, that's what you get for not having ESPN.
Yeah, that.
So I watched the Miss.
Well, all that does is make me go, I'm never getting ESPN until next year when I remember we can't see those games without it.
Watch the missed field goal, and immediately I was like, guys, hurry up, and immediately turned to watch the ball drop in New York, and it had just dropped. So I think he kicked that field goal at exactly 11:59 with 58 seconds to go in the year. So then watched some of that and then went to sleep because I was tired. And then I heard a call. My wife said, it's 3 minutes till midnight. Sprang up, heard the fireworks outside. Couldn't see anything. It was so cloudy. Didn't see any fireworks in the sky at all, but heard it all. And then after about 3 minutes, went to bed because I was tired. I found out, I guess I'm pretty lazy. I was ready to go to bed. Not like our next story, Tom.
Okay, let's hear the next story.
Are you proud of anything you did in 2022?
2022. One of the things I would say is I'm proud that I stayed with Duolingo in Spanish, and it's actually I'm at that point where I go, oh, I don't understand everything, but I can watch a telenovela, one of the telenovelas that I like to watch, which is very basic. It's beginner level telenovela, but I can understand what they're talking about and laugh when I should be laughing. So
I had a Spanish class in college, and that was probably 90% of our course. He would bring in the TV, he'd show a telenovela, he'd let it go for, however long, 30 seconds, a minute. He'd pause it, and then he would say, what did they just say? And that was our class. Our final exam, you had to go into his office. He would show you a scene, and you had to translate what just happened in the scene. So you're on your way, Tom.
So what I was going to say, ask anyone who English is their second language, and they're speaking somewhat fairly well and understanding it. Well, how did you learn English so well? I watched American television.
That's it, TV.
Yeah, same thing when we were in Russia. I watched Russian television.
Yeah, you get it all. I learned Spanish from the hymnal and from Walmart.
Walmart. Oh,
when I worked at Walmart, I worked there in the Valley, and you learn all kind of stuff.
Well, I didn't learn any Spanish when I worked for Walmart. I was in Wisconsin.
No Spanish there in Wisconsin.
Well, there is Spanish there, but not much. No mucho.
No mucho. All right. So I'm sure there's something I'm proud of in 2022. I just can't put my finger on it because it's not as excessive and over the top as this guy, Marathon Man, Gary McKee. Now, Tom, if you didn't know, like, for you to get the nickname Marathon Man, how many marathons would you think you would have to have had under your belt?
I would say you would run 2 or 3 a year over, maybe a couple of years. Yeah.
I ran 2 marathons this year. Last year it was 3, and I'm thinking of doing another 2. Yeah. Oh, Marathon Man. Yeah. How about 300?
It wouldn't take much at our house.
Marathon for me is running to the refrigerator to get to drink. I made it, y'all. I'm out of breath. I'm teasing because, golly, how about 365 marathons, Tom?
Yeah, it's a good thing it wasn't a leap year.
Yes, good thing. A man who vowed to complete a marathon on every day of 2022 has hit his 1 million pound target after completing his final run. Yes, this is in England. Gary McKee from Cleator Moor in Cumbria began his challenge on January the 1st with donations to be shared between Macmillan Cancer Support and West Cumbria Hospice at Home. So that's more than 9,500 miles.
And so he started January 1st, and I am really curious as to what he did yesterday.
What do you, yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
365 days, I've done it every day, and you wake up and you go, I gotta run.
Like, what are you doing with your life now, Mr. Marathon Man? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so how long I see people who like get ready for marathons and they take months to get ready for one. Like, how do you get ready for 1 year's worth of marathon?
Yeah. And my guess is that he ran it in a fairly reasonable amount of time, meaning less than 5 hours. And I'm not joking about that. It's like, I could walk a marathon in about 4 or 5 hours. So I'm thinking that he wasn't running to set any records. So he wasn't running in whatever they average 5 minutes a mile. So, whatever that 100 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
130 minutes.
So he's taking his time. He's not overdoing it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know, Tom. I don't know that I could do that, brother. I walk with the Lord. I don't run.
Yeah, I don't even walk every day, much less run.
Don't tell my doctor that. Let's see. So, he did it for charity. So I guess that's motivation. I guess that's inspiration. He had the support of his community. I mean, if you're in the neighborhood, like, do you go out like in June or July and still like watch this guy run his marathon? Or do you say, hey, bro, I'll see you on December 31st when you're done?
Well, the other thing, when you say that 365 days a year, just think about doing that in Corpus Christi. What you've got to face. You've got to face at times torrential rainfalls. You've got to experience the heat. This year you would have had to experience temperatures in the 20s, which for us is like, people in Wisconsin, Minnesota are saying, oh, it'd be nice if it was that warm. So
have you done anything close to being that committed?
No.
I don't think I can say that I have, and I don't know what that says about me, Tom. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of inspired actually right now, Tom. not to run a marathon. Don't get me wrong.
Well, after hearing that, I'm going, yep, that nap is going to happen today.
Yes, and I'm not going to feel bad about it.
Turning it toward what at least what it applies to with us is there certain things about that we can kind of glean as far as, because I was thinking things that, and you would encourage this, I would encourage this as a pastor is the one thing I'm going to ask you to do one thing for this year, and to do it every day. So what would you in 2023 say to a person? The one thing, if there was one thing I would ask you to do and do it on a daily basis, this is what it would be.
Pray, man. I think thinking about church life, I think church needs an infusion of prayer. And so I talk to many people and you can tell they're not comfortable with prayer. They're not sure if they're praying right, all that stuff. So I would say, learn how to pray. I know that sounds kind of cheesy and kind of like, that's what the pastor says, and let's do something real. I think there's other things to do, but I think prayer inspires us in a lot of different ways that we don't always recognize. And so let's make that a let's make that a staple.
Yeah, and what I would say, kind of coming off of that, is there was a point where the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Teach us to pray. Teach us to pray like John taught his disciples to pray." So you know, the teacher in Jesus' day and time, that was one of the things that they would do with their disciples, is teach them kind of a structured way of praying. And today we don't have John the Baptist prayer that he taught his disciples, but we do have the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. And of course, we say in many churches around the world, we say that prayer today. And the only thing I would say about that is if you're going to pray and you don't know how to pray, just type in the Lord's Prayer and Google the Lord's Prayer, and it's going to come up. And you can even find different versions and different ways, like the Message is going to be different than the New International Version, which is going to be different than the King James Version. And you can kind of go and decide, but use that as your pattern for prayer. And what I mean is, it starts out, Our Father, and think about having a conversation with a good, perfect person who absolutely loves you, and say, "This one's my child." Now talk to that person. Mm-hmm. And what would you say? And just go through each of the things that it says. So now we've got a practical guideline for the person who says, "I don't know how to pray." And so that's one of the things that's what you would say. And I go, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. And I do give I guess, I don't know if tips is the right word, but I also think it depends on the person, because I think we also pray in different ways. Like, we learn in different ways. And I think that's appropriate too. I'm thinking about my wife also. She's been doing her, read the Bible in a year plan for several years, and she's finished. And I told her, what about this year? Instead of reading the entire Bible, pieces of it every day, what if you became an expert in one book, right? And just read that book over and over, take, Matthew, for example, and just become so acquainted with Matthew's telling of the gospel that, it's just kind of becomes a part of what and maybe taking a different approach. So one thing that is good. Think about one thing, because this is a time when everybody's like, well, I got to get my resolutions in order. I got to figure out what to do with my life. And that's kind of overwhelming. Just one thing at a time, right? And go from there.
One day at a time. And one of the things retirement has taught me, because in retirement, or prior to retirement, you especially as a pastor, there's a very clear structure to every week. It's like, it's kind of like, football teams. Football teams have a very specific structured pattern of a week. And in the NFL, it typically is everything that you're working toward happens on Sunday. Good parallel between the NFL, typical NFL player, and the typical pastor is we're doing a lot of things, but if we're not preparing for Sunday, then we're not doing one of our main callings.
Big part of our job. Yeah.
So that ended for me the middle of June. I officially retired July 1, but the last 2 Sundays were vacation Sundays, and giving transition between when my last Sunday to speak and Forrest Deviney's first Sunday to speak. So we had folks fill in those last 2 Sundays. And so there's a little bit of a buffer. But anyway, the moment that happened, my structured work week just, it's gone, and it's been gone. And one of the things I keep coming back to is, okay, what's next? And it's a daily question. So Lord, what's next today? What's, and I definitely will say I struggle with that, except there is one thing I do every day, and that's I spend time in the scriptures, and I spend more time in the scriptures now than I did as a pastor preparing to preach every Sunday.
My sense is, like, for our church, like this year and walking into the new year, part of what our sort of shared ministry together will be like just learning what ministry can be now, after pandemic, and after sort of the way ministry used to be is in a lot of ways kind of gone, right? Learning more about how our daily lives, what we do at work, and how what we do, in the community, how is ministry in and of itself as well, right? And learning how God uses all of those kinds of things. This learning how the will of God sort of shapes and directs so much of what we do, because sometimes I feel like, like preparing for Sunday, right? It's just put Sunday right here, and our faith kind of becomes so Sunday focused and centered that we forget everything else, right?
Sunday centric.
Yeah, Sunday centric. And even we're trying to get people ready for Sunday as well. But instead of saying, well, Sunday when we get together, I'm trying to get you prepared for the rest of the week so that you can, have a sense of the presence of God and the assurance of salvation, all that stuff, so that now your life becomes a witness wherever you are. And that's not something that just happens. It's something that you're mindful of. I think that's something many of us have to learn or relearn. And so maybe this marathon, man, helping us. Yeah. We all got to learn different parts of that. So maybe for somebody like Tom, maybe for somebody like me, that there's one thing I need to focus on to help me do that. One thing that maybe is different from somebody else, but I'm going to learn that one thing. And then I'm just going to hold on to that and build on it. And at the end of the year, it's the year's a good milestone marker for us. And so I can look back and say, this is the fruit of what I've seen God do. That's what we talked about on New Year's Eve.
At Kelsey.
At Kelsey, yeah. The fruit of our lives. Jesus wants us to bear fruit, and the end of the year is a chance for us to kind of look back, reflect on what we've been through, but also like what fruit of the Spirit grew in us, right? Mm-hmm. Am I able to see? I'm a little less impatient than I used to be. Well, that's Holy Spirit work, right? I'm a little more self-controlled. I'm a little more joyous. That's all Holy Spirit working, and that doesn't always happen.
No. Well, and it's interesting when you say, I'm a little bit more patient. It's.
I was just using that as an example. Don't take that literally.
But it's the I am a little bit more patient. I've noticed about me, and that's one aspect. But the other aspect, and this is why we, you and I both strongly believe in that community gathering called the church. And we're not talking about what happens on Sunday morning worship. What we're talking about is the people who are living life together in faith, and it's in the places that we can really monitor all of that. Is the first place is at home, and it would Gloria say, yeah, John's more patient. Would Ellen say, yeah, Tom's more patient, I've noticed. And so that's why we live life in community, because it's not about my opinion of myself. Even I think of Paul when he's writing these letters that sometimes today they're certainly controversial, and they were controversial in his day. That's why Peter is saying well, we don't always understand everything that Paul says, but
yeah.
But anyway, is this idea that we were created to live life in community and to develop and discover who we are with others around us, helping us to see who we are. Not only God, not only what is revealed in Scripture, but also what is revealed in community. So that's that's as you were saying that, it also made me think of, there is this aspect, I'm more patient. Well, let's ask a few people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's what is it called? There's a word for it, a condition or whatever, an observation. We tend to give ourselves a little more credit than we should. We think we're doing better than we actually are, or if a policeman pulls you over, how fast were you going? Oh, I was only going, 5 over. No, actually, you were going 15 over. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that bad.
Yeah.
We kind of have this sort of a tendency to overestimate how good we do sometimes, and then there's another expression, like if I want to know if I'm a real Christian, like ask my neighbor. I forget where that comes from, but that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the people we work with, it's the people we live with, it's the people we study with. I mean, you can just go through the list and kind of get a clearer picture of who you are. So
I used to always wonder. So, like, early on, people would find out I was a pastor. Like, you're a pastor? Like, I didn't. So I always wonder, like, wait a minute. Why is that such a surprise? Is it because,
Yeah, it would be nice if they'd say, "Oh, that explains a lot.
That makes sense. It checks out. I get it.
Yeah.
And even to your point, you brought up the Lord's Prayer. Focusing on different points. I mean, with the very first word of the Lord's Prayer, right?
Our.
I mean, you chew on that for a little bit, right? Jesus says, "Teach us how to pray." He didn't say, "All right, my Father," right? He just said, "Our Father." So that's something to consider as well. So work on yourself, of course. Open yourself to the work of the Holy Spirit. I don't know that you need to get all overwhelmed with resolutions and all these things you got to do. Just one thing. Maybe pick one thing and just let that lead what you do. Let that lead how you think, and begin to work on one thing at a time, at least. Maybe you work on one thing, and after a while you feel like, okay, I feel better. I feel comfortable, and other people see it too. So maybe now I can work on another one thing, just one thing at a time. This isn't a checklist. This isn't a contest. And who knows what you can do. I will say, though, there is zero chance I will run a complete marathon every day of the year. I'm pretty sure there's zero chance I will run one marathon.
That's
at least at one time.
That's one that I would leave open, because it is kind of curiosity, as not so much that I want to run a marathon, but to cover a great deal of distance over a course of one day, 25, 26, whatever. What is it? 26 point something miles?
0.2. I don't know. Look at the bumper stickers on their cars, whatever they say. So anyway, hope that's helpful. Go look up Marathon Man, and who knows, if you stick to your one thing, Tom, at the end of the year, we could start calling you that man, that prayer man, Tom Tarver.
Prayer man. No, that'd be you, John. There's Bible Man.
I think that name's already taken.
Probably.
Was there an old show called Bible Man? He's a
Probably,
superhero.
But Marathon Man is also a movie. So.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that.
I think I have not seen it. I think it's Dustin Hoffman. I think is in Marathon Man, but I don't know.
I don't remember that.
Hey, for those watching at home, if you've seen it.
Yeah, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then I'm going to go take a nap and just be glad that I'm going to walk everywhere I go today. So, Tom, thanks for your input. I appreciate it, brother. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and yours, and you as well. Thanks for tuning in, listening. We'll be back soon, sometime, who knows when, and we'll get things rolling. And until then, have a great rest of the week, and God be with you.
And John, I just want to say, good start. to 2023.
Right on.
Thanks for
Vroom, vroom. Here we go.
Thanks for getting us started way back when, and thank you for today.
Of course, man. I always appreciate it. It's always fun. It's always funner than I thought it was going to be.
And it's surprising. We actually had something interesting to say to us anyway.
All right. God be with you.
Yep. God be with you.